cracking, mi gente? This your boy D once again, stopping by to drop a little bit of love and some knowledge. You guys already know, we get to the topics, we spell the truth, we keep on pushing, even though things get hard sometimes. Here we go. I know I've been getting a little comments and suggestions and also advices from the subscribers, and I really appreciate all of you guys, everything you guys have to say. I know you guys have been telling me sometimes my volume is a little bit low, sometimes my volume is a little bit not perfect, and sometimes you guys cannot understand because either I'm talking too fast or it sounds like gibberish. So what I'm gonna do from now on, like I say, this channel is for you guys. So when you guys give me little pointers and things like that, I take them into consideration, and I really respect you guys' opinions as long as it comes from a good place. And most of you guys' opinions and suggestions come from a good place. So I will take that to the heart, learn from them, and try to adapt and be better at whatever I do. So here I am. Also, I'm in the process of either getting a microphone, a little bit of things situated so the video quality, the audio quality, everything comes better because you guys deserve nothing but the best. So that's what I will do. As you guys can see in the thumbnail, this topic's about another incident that I witnessed when I was in Centinela, and then we'll get to the other topics soon enough. With that being said, man, you guys already know, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. I will get back at you guys as soon as I can. And if you guys can, please hit the notification bell so you guys can know when I'm dropping another banging, another content. Plus, when I go live, I'll be going live today, 7 o'clock. I might have a surprise for you guys. I might just have a surprise for you guys. Please don't take it wrong. We get from there. With that being said, man, let's get into this topic. So I spoke about a couple people when I did the videos of Centinela when boy from Florencia got hit and everything else, and people asked me about some individuals that were like, what happened to this fool? Are you going to tell the story? What's cracking? What's going on? So here I am. Plus, last night another subscriber also got on me and asked me and knew and said that he knew the individual I was speaking on. He was from his barrio. So here I am to also give his request a little bit away. Him saying we would like to know what happened to the individual. So I'm gonna speak of what I know, what I seen, and what I witnessed, and also the interactions me and him had. We never had a lot of dealings with each other, more than a couple times, so we can go from there. So as I was talking in the last video, Shady from Lando. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right. If I'm not, dispensa. I know there's a couple barrios that sound the same, Lowell, Landale, Landon. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I know it's not from Lowell because that barrio had a green light for a long time. I don't know if it's from Landale or Landon. So if I'm not pronouncing it right, it's Pensa. But this is an individual that I met when I first landed in Centinela Sea Yard coming from Pelican Bay, right? So when I landed there, I don't know who he was at all because he never came to my door. We never had a conversation or nothing. So how I first find out who he was Marceli at that time, the homie twin for Rancho San Pedro was Marceli. And he knew a couple individuals from here and there. That was his second term, so he knew a little bit more people than I did. I know the people that was in charge of the block was some dude named Slugger. Forget what barrio he was from, but he was the one that approached us regarding our 128G and all of that stuff, right? So then I start finding out who was really who on the block. You know, if you sit back and pay attention and don't get involved in shenanigans, you start to look at and realize who is actually really who. Because sometimes they use smoke screens. They put somebody in there that goes used as the mouthpiece, but that's not who really is running the show. So that's what this individual do. He was smart. I mean, the way he was running that pot, at least that whole tank, I think he was in the mess as well. I don't know if he was the main yardero later on. I, I don't think he was because I find out a little bit later on through actions and seeing. I think it was somebody else, but he was in the part of the mess up for that block, at least for one block. So as I was saying, I used to see him go to vocation to work every day. And why he stood out a little bit more to me was because he was a little bit short, man. He was a 5'4", I think. He was a little skinny dude. But the road dog, the dude he used to fuck with, always walk back and forward to chow, to work, and to even yard was a big ass individual. His name was Brock from Colton, right? This individual stood like probably I want to say 6'5", 6'6". He will build like Aaron Hernandez, the football player from the Patriots. That's how he was built. He was built solid, and he was huge. So next to him, Shady used to look like a little llaverito, like a little keychain. But they were always around each other. They were always fucking with each other. They were solid. They were good friends. And I used to see them always, go to vocation together, go to child together. They were not sellies though. Brock had a silly older individual from, I believe his name was Payaso, I don't know where he was from. And Shady had another silly. I didn't know him as at all. But I know he was running the yard. Well, throughout the things that I seen, I saw the little dude always used to go to visit. He had a little hyena. They always used to come see him. Then near every weekend. I mean, he was from down south. And Centinela is closed. So, I mean, she used to come up to see this individual every single weekend in there. I think I seen him miss visit once or twice. The individual was love and he was in love. You could tell when he used to speak about his hyena, the demeanor he would get. I used to hear him say, "Oh yeah, my hyena, my wife this, my wife that." Like I said, he was a couple cells down from where I was leaving. I was in cell 31, I believe. He was in cell like 36, 37, so it was just around the corner going to C-section. Like I said, 270 are built a little bit different. Um, So I will see him, and sometimes I will hear him, and then I start gambling with his road dog, with Brock. Start doing bets. He used to be a fan. I believe he was a Cowboys fan. Not 100% sure, but I know he wasn't no Niners fan. So we start betting. We start gambling because one time me and my road dog, we were walking the yard. We were gambling to another individual. He was behind us. He heard us. He was like, "Hey, can I get in there?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Can I place a couple bets?" I was like, "Hey, we don't gamble big. We only like probably maybe a couple dollars, $5, $10. The most that we used to do was $20, and not because we didn't have it like that. I mean, I had a little bit to pay my debts, but just it was friendly bets. It wasn't no exaggeration type of bets. So he started gambling with us, and then his boy Shady will jump in. And how I know later on that I start figuring out he was with the business. He was in bone politics. After me seeing, witnessing a couple other things, what really hit a home was he lost a bet with me. I think it was like 7 bets, $20, something like that. It was like 140, 150, so around there. And he wanted to pay me with some negra, some hot, with some of that gooey char. But at that time I was not using. So I told him, Spencer, homie, like I can take it, but it's gonna be hard for me to get rid of it because I don't mess with it. He's like, what about your celly? I was like, yeah, but I'm cool. I'm trying to keep my celly out of trouble, not keep feeding his habit. And plus, it kind of like fished with me because he knew my celly was on the red list. Basically, he couldn't get no dope. So he was like, he couldn't. He was on. They had a list over there. They, if you pass a certain limit amount of buying from the homies, they used to put you on the red list. Basically, red, the color red. So I'm gonna say it slow so you guys don't be clowning me for my accent, man. So he was in the red list. He couldn't basically buy drugs for the homies. But you know how individuals always find somebody to sell them to. But it landed weird with me because he told me that. No, then well, Marcelli couldn't get none. So I told him, nah, man, I'm not trying to do that. I'm like, if you don't have the store, then you could just send it to my books or send it to my boys' books. He's like, what about if I give you a green dot? I was like, also, I don't have an account, so I'm gonna cash it. He was like, I could just send the money to your books then. So we came into an agreement. So every time we used to gamble with him, it would be like, you send, if it's too much and you don't want to be left touching like your store because we only go once a month, you can send it to my books. If you want me to do something else or like green and stuff like that, and you have the account, then I'll figure out how to get them to you. So we found that establishment. So we used to gamble every Saturday and Sunday, um, college football and NFL. It was cool. After that, I got moved to BR. He stood in CR. And that's when all the guys landed there. The validated guys that came out landed there. Well, this is what I heard in BR. I heard he had got caught in visitor room. I guess his hyena was coming. He was close to the pad too. I think he only had like 6 months, like a year to the house. So he was close to the pad. So his hyena used to come see him. But this is what I heard, and when I asked him later on, when I saw him and I had the conversation with him, he told me it was true, right? But it wasn't what they were trying to make it seem. So I guess he was in the visitor room. He got a little hot and bothered. So did his hyena. I don't know what they were talking about, what they were doing, but his hyena reached inside his pants and basically started giving him hand job. You know what I mean? I don't know if a Jura saw it or a family saw it. I don't have those clarifying details at that time when I heard what transpired. But the next thing you know, I guess they rushed his table, and the Juras thought she was trying to slit him something. So they grabbed her, took her, escorted outside. They grabbed him and escorted him to the bathroom. They strip searched him, then took him to the hole, right? I guess was the one that admitted, was like, man, we were not doing nothing else. I was just doing this. There was nothing fishy. I wasn't slitting no dope, none of that. It was just like I got, caliente a little. I wanted her some razzle dazzle, and she reached into inside this fool's pants, and which is something to me I don't agree, and it bothered me at that moment because in visitor room you have childs in there, you have people's mothers in there, you have people grandmas in there, so it kind of lands weird to other individuals, especially if I was being there and then my nieces or my family would have been there and I could see it, then it would have landed a little bit wrong, at least with me. But that's what I was thinking, right? That man, that's crazy. Why would she do something like that in front of other people's family? That's disrespectful. Well, I kind of jumped the gun and started judging him behind what I was hearing that transpired without actually hearing or knowing his side or what really actually took place. I was just going off based on what I was told. I mean, I didn't go as far as saying, man, he deserved to get God, none of that. But I just didn't agree with the actions. I was like, that's just disgusting because, um, mind you, I was a judgmental guy. At that moment, I was judgmental towards because what about if I would have been there with my kid, right? Or with my grandma, and she would have looked behind and would have saw something that she shouldn't have to see in visiting. And that's why there's certain things in visiting that you don't do. Um, like I said, visiting is like a neutral ground, and it's always being respected. Even if you see your enemy there, even if you see you have an issue with somebody, you don't take off and visit him. You don't do that. That's is a rule that is not a rule, but everybody knows that it's a rule. I don't know if I explain it. It's like a common respect, a common knowledge. You don't do the respectful things in visiting. You don't take off on your enemy. You don't do that because situations can escalate. Let's say you and somebody else are fighting. You threw a punch and it lands on somebody else in another race family member. That race now is gonna jump. Now it's gonna become a big old ordeal, and things would have got out of hand. So that's why people doesn't actually do violence in the visitor room and doesn't do certain things in visitor room. If you can get away and slide into the mop closet, slide into behind the little vending machines, then do you by all means. But usually when you're trying to do something like that behind the vending machine or behind little spots, blind spots, there's homies that cover you so other people doesn't see. One, so you don't get busted. Two, so it's not disrespectful to the family member. Three, so the hooters don't get you. You know what I mean? And they start putting a jacket on you. Well, at that time, there were a few individuals in CR. There was a few carnales seasoned CR. So they didn't agree with this action that took place. And one of them, the one that was pushing the hardest, was Playboy from King Cobra's. I don't know if his name was Playboy or Player, but he was from King Cobra. He was in Five Black, I believe, CR. Yes, it was in Five Black and CR. So he was the one that was actually pushing the hardest, like trying to get him done dirty. Well, when he got to the hole, I guess the smartest thing that he could have done was he reached out to his boy. Now, mind you, his boy was up for transfer to a level 3, Brock. But he also had a relationship. Brock also had a relationship with Turtle from Colton that happened to be in BR at that time. And Shady also had some type of relationship with him due through that guy. So he knew a few individuals. He was under a few individuals when he was doing his thing. I know one of them was no longer there, but there was a couple more that I heard that he was messing with. So I don't know the names, and I'm not saying because I'm not trying to say the names. No, I just don't know the names, and I don't want to give you guys their own information. You know what I mean? So what transpired next is he gets shipped out. They send him to BR. I don't know if the Judas knew what could transpire in BR, but they sent him to BR. So when he gets lands on BR, he lands on 5 block. He lands, I believe, was cell 30 something. It was close to the B section, right? It was right next to the showers. Forget that cell number, but he was right next to the shower in the bottom tier, and I was on cell 10 on 5 block. So he lands it there. He tried to clear his name. He's without because he know what can transpire. And actually, one of the guys that I knew from 5 yard, 5 block, excuse me, basically came up to me. He's like, "Hey, fool, they trying to get this fool. Like this fool's paranoid. Like they're really trying to get this fool. Like they sent a message from CR basically saying, if you were still in my yard, I would have been, got your hit." That's the message that guy from King Cobra sent. Excuse me, not from King. He was from Playboys. Now that I remember clearly, he was from Playboys. I believe his name was Player from Playboys. I might have mistaken by somebody else, but it was one of those two individuals. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a minute, but I know his name was Play. He was from Playboys. Now that I remember, because he had a bunny on him. Well, this will transpire next. So he tried to go. He went to yard. He was talking to the dude that was there, Toto. He was talking to Turtle. He was talking to the other individual. They were trying to basically come to a resolution. And as you guys already know, the old man T, Toto, he's a real grumpy guy. He's really vicious when it comes to stuff like that. Somehow, I don't know if because he figured he could get this kid to give him some feria or whatnot. I don't know. But somehow, Turtle from Colton convinced him not to get him touched, not to get him hit, not to remove him or kill him. Because even though, like I said, he was coming home soon. So I'm guessing the development plan, like, we gonna use this. So when he can come home, he can do this for us. And that's just my guess. That's just what I'm guessing transpired. I'm not saying that's what they told him, that's what he that did, but I'm saying that's my mainly guess. Somehow, some way, he gets pardoned. He don't get hit in the yard. Turtle had a lot to do with that call. I don't know if Brock spoke with him or what now, or he convinced him, but I know that he had a lot to do with it. And he came out from Shady's mouth. He was like, he had a lot to do with me not getting hit in the yard. Well, but this was the thing. He had a DP coming for that situation. So they send the guys to the cell. And at that time, especially in Centinela, there was a lot of things like this and other prison as well happening. That if you had a calentada coming, they will get at the Juras. The Juras will basically say, okay, as long as this fool don't get hit in the room, in the cell, fool they don't whack him, you guys do what you guys gotta do. Because a lot of these COs are lazy. And I say this with because I seen it. They're lazy. They want to come in there, sit on their asses, and not do nothing. Especially when it comes to paperwork. These vatos are pure lazies. They do not want to do paperwork. They do not want to do write-ups. That's why sometimes they don't even search sales. Which for convicts is a good thing. But for the people that's in the victims, it's a bad thing. Because it wasn't a 13-second DP like it used to be before. In prison, they could go on until whoever standing at the door, whoever got the permission to go in there, decide to be the Yastubo. That's it. So it's not a 13-second DP like it was supposed to be. Nah, homie, chales. They were going there something for like a good minute. And a minute in prison is a long time. Especially in that cell, getting boob up, hitting the lockers, hitting the beds, hitting the... There's a lot of metals in there. And then you could get hit. One punch can land in the wrong way. You can hit your head. You can die. A lot of things can transpire in those cell fights. They dangerous as hell. Well, they sent two big ass dudes in there. Like I said, that dude was short. He was short. He was not that big. So they send I forget this dude's name, but he was stocky, bullheaded fool. He was a porter too. I'm not sure if his name was Husky or Trippy, but he was a big individual, man. Big individual. He had a lot of power. It was stocky, probably like 190 to 200. Straight pull, solid muscle, and he would work out. And then they send that fool from Cam as well in there. So they start lighting this kid up. I mean, whew. I happened to be taking a shower that day when it transpired because it was in the morning. I have been getting my yards took in the morning. I was being punished for a write up, so I couldn't go to yards in the morning, man. But believe me when I tell you, they DP this fool so bad. It was just the sound of the smacking just was like hard, like somebody just getting smacked. So this transpired. I come out the shower and I see these two big individuals go there. And it just like it started resonating with me. I felt bad, man. Once I saw this fool's like hand knuckles bloody and everything, and then I saw that fool Sally goes in there, and man, all I could hear was like, "You okay? Can you move?" And he said, "He was like, I got this, bro. Don't trip. Lay on your bunk. I got this. I'm clean." So I guess there was blood everywhere. Well, when I came out the shower, like I said, I knew the dude from Cam. I wasn't a friend with him, but I was still okay. So I asked him, "Man, fool, can I approach the homie in the cell asking if he needs anything?" He's like, "Nah, he don't need nothing, bro. He's good." I'm like, okay. So I walked off. That was it. There was nothing for me to say or do nothing because I already seen his demeanor. I was like, I'm cool. I don't even want to get into with this fool. I don't even want to go there. I left. Next thing you know, I'll go back to my cell. A guy gets to me. One of the porters slides in on my door and it's Shady. He's like asking me, "Hey, bro, do you still have your phone? Can I buy some phone time of you? I need to make a couple calls because they said that this is gonna continue." And it shocked me. It blew me away. I was like, "What do you mean it's gonna continue? What the hell?" So I didn't say nothing. Then my boy from Sangra pulls up and he was the yard crew. So I hit him up like, "Hey, bro, do you happen to know what the hell going on with that kid?" He tell me, "I guess what I'm heard," because he was a yard crew, so he always heard a lot of things. So he was like, "What I heard is that they're gonna keep DPing him until one of the guys is satisfied," referring to one of the old men. We didn't know if they were talking about Toto or somebody else, but I guess they realized they were gonna keep beating this kid up every week. I don't know if it came from C yard, I don't know if it came from B yard, but they wanted this kid hurt every week. So I was like, man, that's messed up. So a week later, we go to Chow. He's a little bit healed up, but you still can see black marks on his eyes, the bruises and everything. So like I say, I was in A section. I was in cell 10, and he was like at the end of B section. They release usually like half of A section, then half of, you know what I mean? The other half of A section, then they start doing B section. Well, I had to wait for a homie to slide in the cuerno. That was his time. So I waited until B section, the first beginning of it, start getting released, and I start going chopping it up with the homie for Sangra. On the way back, Shady pulls me over. He goes, "Hey, fool, can you do me a bottle, bro? Even if I have to pay extra, I have to pay you double. I just need like 3 hours. How much you want for it? I need to make a call, bro." And like this fool's talking about they're gonna keep beating my ass every week. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why would they even say something like that to him? There's two choices. He can either leave or this fool's gonna try to figure out a way to get out of it. So I don't budge. So I wasn't told we couldn't rent in the phone anyways. So I rented the phone. So I slide in the phone. He slide me the money. So he's talking. He's like he wants an all-nighter. He said he leave the cell. So he's by himself. So he wants an all-nighter, which means he's keeping the phone all night. So I send him the phone with a black border because he was the only one at that time there on that area for us. So I sent it to him. And the plus, I sent it with him also just because I didn't know what kind of transaction the homies had going on regarding to him. So I sent it to him, and he does tuck this in the morning. He sent it back. He shoots me a call. He goes, "Hey, Mahaina's gonna send you the feria. She's gonna give you a call or text you around this time. Let her know how you want it done. Chingo de gracias. I appreciate it." Well, This is what happens next. The very next day, in the afternoon, when I'm coming back from here, I get pulled over by the gangster Casper from OC. He pulls me over. He goes, "Hey, homie, do you rent your phone to Shady?" And he's like, "Before you say no or yes, you think about it. Don't lie to me because regardless of anything, I'm gonna find out." I was like, "Yeah, I rent the phone out to him. Why? I mean, I haven't seen no guy that we can talk to him. We can do business with him." He goes, "Yeah, no, that's true." He's like, "You know what? That was our fault. We forgot from now on. Don't rent that phone to that fool for shit." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "It doesn't matter." He's like, "For now on, that fool cannot have a phone, cannot have communication. I got you now behind that." I was like, "You got you now behind me renting my own phone?" He's like, "Yeah, but he was not supposed to have communication, la la la." So it slips out of his mouth that he's not supposed to communicate with nobody, I guess. So I start tripping out. I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "Hey, look, man, you guys didn't say nothing to us. Nobody told me I couldn't do shit with my phone. It's my phone. If I wanted to rent it out, and I mean, you guys didn't tell me I was prohibiting it." If he's like, "No, it's okay. You can rent it out to all the homies, but not him." I was like, "Okay, whatever." Shady hits me up the same next day. He goes, "Hey, if they ask if you rent the phone to me, tell them you didn't, because I told them you didn't." It's too late. I didn't know what the hell was going on. It was too late. If it would have shot me that car early, I probably would have been able to cover. I probably would have said no just because on GP I didn't like Casper. But he didn't say nothing, so I wrote him back like, "Bro, that's too late." They pulled me over on my way from yard, homie. Like, you should have gave me heads up. Like, if you know you were doing something, you should at least give me heads up, because I would have caused probably even getting my phone, repo or some shit like that. He's like, "My bad, homie, to put you in a predicament. I didn't know." So on our way back, he pulls me over again when we were on a child that same day in the afternoon, nighttime, and he breaks it down to me. I guess the word came from CR saying that they were gonna boop up until he was satisfied. Now I guess they were taking pictures to see how bad they was beating his ass until he apologized to them because they felt like he had to respect them in the visitor room. And they wanted a certain amount of money for him to pay. That's what I was told. So I didn't know. And he's like, "Hey, they don't want me to communicate with that police that I help. They trying to seem like I'm putting them against each other, whatever, whatnot." I really didn't know. But somehow I found myself in this situation now again for helping somebody else out. But at the same time, I didn't agree because this guy had been doing so much for them, giving them so much feria, and all of a sudden, just because of this mistake. So I told him, I asked him, I said, "Look, for I'm asking something, and at least hit me with the truth. Like, was Johanna actually doing that to you?" He's like, "Look, bro, it's not like that. They're making it seem like I was showing my stuff, like she was posing. It was not like that, man. Like, she had a sweater, she threw it on my lap, and she put her hand on my lap, and he was like, it wasn't even like that. It was on top of my boxer. She had her hand on top of my boxer. She was stroking me. She wasn't doing nothing like that. But because I moved, wiggle a little bit, the morena, I guess a black lady sitting next to them, saw the movement going on, and she had a child with them and told her vato. Her vato got up and went and got at the one of the dudes that was in the yard. I guess they had Carlitos and somebody else in there in the visitor room. So he got at them, and another homie told them what he was seeing. So I guess the homies looked back and they start shaking the head. The Huda sees these, and that's when that fool got snatched up. But when he get up, he's like, I was hard, fool. He's like, "Don't get me wrong, it's the touch of a woman. I've been down for so long." I guess he had a couple of years in, like 10 years, something like that. So he was like, "But man, I wasn't doing actually nothing wrong. She was struggling me, nothing like that. It was like she had her hand on top of my boxer. Yeah, she probably caressed a couple of times." He goes, "But it was never like she was full motion doing something that she was not supposed to be doing." And I was like, "Bro, you got a couple months to the path. Why you even put yourself in that predicament?" He's like, "I know, if I was stupid." I was like, that's many. But the next time they, like a day later, they went in there himself again, man. They were beating the brakes of this kid. Man, they left him really bad. Because I went to shower and he was like in front of the mirror, like throwing up, and I saw him. I was like, "You good?" And when he looked at me, I mean, he has black eyes. Like I said, he was light skinned and I güerito. He was güerito. So every bruise you can see. And then I saw his finger. I guess they had tried to either break his finger, his pinky, because that was the thing that they were doing. But it didn't work, or he didn't have enough first, so they had just beat the shit out of his finger. Man, it looked bad, my guys. His hyena calls me the same night asking me if I know anything, because somebody has sent in a message. I was like, what message? So she shoots me the message somebody has sent it. She hit me up basically asking me if it was true that they have beat the brakes off him. I told his hyena, like, I don't know. At that time, my mind was still thinking criminal, and I was still thinking like I'm not gonna get involved in this fiasco, because if I do, then I'm gonna be next. But here where it gets tricky. In the morning, he waits for everybody to go to chow. He doesn't go to chow, but homies didn't see it suspicious because, like I said, they had beat him up the day before, so they wouldn't let you go to chow if you were beat up too bad. You had to wait a couple of times, couple of days. So I guess when we all went to chow, he approached the Huda to release chow, and sometimes when they release chow, somebody else goes in there. Like they usually the two Hudas that work there, one goes outside and the other one is releasing, and there's somebody else from the yard. They usually come in there and release because, like I say, it's a lot of tears getting released. So he approached the Huda that was not working there and told him he feared for his life, that he needed to get out of there. So the Huda was like, "What?" He's like, "Hey, if I'm scared, I'm fearing for my life. I need to leave." They cuff him up and take him. So they take him to the program office, and he checks in. Now everybody just, when we coming in with Sihuras on his cell, like I said, he was single cell. Man, it was bad. They were rapping all the stuff. So here comes Gangster Casper, and I guess he asked the dude that was there, and he was like, he left. He's done. He rolled it up. 2 days later, I get a call from his hyena. At that time, I'm no longer on A section. I'm on C section now. I'm on C status. So I get there, they start moving people from A section to C section, because if you were single C status, they didn't want people to have interactions. They didn't want to have any TVs and regular cells. They didn't want people to be sold up with regular cellies that were not in C status. So they start moving everybody to C section. So I was in C section, cell 42. So she hits me up in the middle of the day. I was chillaxing watching Netflix. She hit me up. She's like, "Hey, dude, this is so and so. Is it true what I'm hearing?" I was like, "Well, okay, like what the what?" She's like, "Look, you remember me?" I was like, "Yeah, I remember your name. I remember what you like. What's up?" He goes, "Look, I got like 3 calls yesterday, and today I'm getting calls, and the nighttime I'm getting calls that this fool rolled it up, that he picks it up. They're calling me, talking about that he owed them money to send it to them. If not, they're gonna get him when he's in a hole, que la la la. And that decides they know me, they're gonna do this." I guess Heina was a little bit involved in whatever transaction he was doing in the street. So I guess they either knew something about him, or like, I don't know if it's true that the Heina was just trying to figure out if I would tell. I don't know if she had somebody else on the phone or not. But I was like, "Look, with all due respect, do me a favor, don't call my phone anymore. Especially around this time. Like, I don't know nothing. All I can tell you is he's not here anymore. I don't know if he went to another building, he went to another yard, but he's not here anymore. I came back from Chow, he was gone. I don't know what happened to him, what it did." He's like, "They saying he pieced it." I don't know what it did. That man, his own man. If you love him and care for him, then wait for him to get at you. That's all I can tell you. She's like, "Okay, thank you. I just wanted to get some peace of mind." Whatever. But a week later, she calls me again. He's on the line. I hang up instantly. I was like, "Yep, nope, boop." He was in the back. I guess he checked in. He was done. But here's the moral of the story. I don't blame him for it. Here's a kid that got 6 months to it, year to the house. And I guess the beating up also had to do, and this is what I find out a little bit later. I guess they were either gonna beat him up, or he had to do a favor for them while he was like that close to the house. They wanted him to do something that close to the house, and he had kind of like not say no, but he kind of had refused. And I guess he had called somebody that could back them up. And I guess his way out was like, when I come home, I can do better, more for you guys while I'm out there. They ain't here, they're just basically they just trying to break me, la la la. And the person he called, I guess, I called over there, and then that's when all of that transpired. They felt like he was playing them, like they were trying to pinch it against each other, like always. If it start coming to them and they getting pinched against each other, of course they're gonna try to get rid of you. But if they do that to us, oh, it's fine. It's okay. No problema. Man, Here he has a kid that's been down for almost 10 years or whatever years he had done. And he had, throughout his whole career, throughout his whole term, he had done nothing but provide for them, work for them, provide them with money, do things for them. And while he was in a good standing, he was good. He was their dude. They used to care for him. But as soon as he did a mistake, and that got in there, they asked him to do him a paro, and then when he didn't, they start beating his ass up every other week or every day, whatever the transition was or whatever transpired, he was getting beat up. And they weren't putting people his side. They were putting people double his side, triple his side. How fair is that? We are seeing this as a pattern. And yeah, you got these actives here in the internet talking smack to us, calling us all these type of names, telling us all these type of things because we're exposing these people for the truth. Or you probably mad because you wrecked your career. You're probably mad because you couldn't handle the program. You butthurt because you couldn't stand on your 2 feet. Why would I continue to follow something I don't respect and I don't agree with? We got so many examples. I gave you guys 3 examples in the last 2 videos of how grimy this people is. And I start doing time in the mid 2000s. I start doing time, at the end of the 2000s, then 2010s, and all of these things coming around. We're going in 2024, and we're still seeing the same old ordeal. People putting in a predicament when they don't agree to something, or if they say something out of their neck, or they come out and say something stupid, their price and their thinking is getting whacked in the yard, getting DP, then they're getting pulled so many holes on their body because they don't agree with what they seeing. Because eventually, little by little, you start to open your eyes. You start to see this scandalous shenanigans, this ruthless ass behavior that is not allowed, tolerable no more. They kill a kid in a wheelchair and it's okay. How can you call that okay? That act was disgusting. Now this dude was doing this. People was gonna say, well, he was making money. He was probably getting people hurt. He probably was getting people hurt in New York. He probably got people, did something like that. And he played the part to survive, maybe. I'm not glorifying what he did, but at the end of the day, he got a rude awakening. And I heard this from a subscriber that said that he was from his barrio, that he knew him. I haven't confirmed it. I haven't asked around, haven't know, but this is what the subscriber told me. I would like to hear the Shady story because he's no longer here with us in this earth. Kill him after he came home. That's what he told me. He got killed after he came home. Was it a reaction to what he did? I don't know. Is it true that he's no longer here with us? I hope and pray that it's not true. Knock on wood, it's not happening. But if it is gone, and it's a reaction of what he did, I mean in prison, excuse me. Come on. When are we gonna wake up? When these so-called active gangsters, pandilleros, ruthless, mafiosos are gonna wake up and see that these people are using you guys. They are abusing you. And when they feel you no longer serve a purpose, they're gonna discard you like a stray garbage. Now it seems like they can actually start doing this, threatening your family, threatening your wife. It's becoming a common thing. When did that become gangster? When killing somebody disabled became gangster? Because they don't want to take the time to treat an individual that probably did so much for them. All of a sudden now he's in this predicament when he can no longer walk. He's a liability for the Ramfla. They make us look we ucks taking care of wielding somebody in a wheelchair up. Are you fucking serious? And it gets me angry when I talk about this topic because it's disgusting, man. We gotta save our youngsters. We gotta save our kids for going down this path. We can do better. Let's teach them the gangster life of these so-called blocks. They don't belong to us. Somebody said it in the comments. You fighting for a block that always gonna be there when you come home, and even when you die, that piece of concrete still gonna be there. And I learned that when I came home, that piece of concrete I used to bang for, that I got shit blood, my body so many bruises, and I shed blood on my own blood when I got beat up so bad, got stabbed, all the little things that happened to me. That piece of concrete is still there to this damn day. And I have lost so many people behind it. Loved ones and people that I really care about. But yeah, see here, we're here and judge people that preaching the message. Stop the violence. Stop these gruesome activities. We can do better, man. Let's teach our kids how to be entrepreneurs and how to do things the best way they can. Instead of teaching how to pick up a gun and start game banging a number. Shame on you for telling your homito in the pinta and saying, hey homie, you feel inside? Here's a fierro. Hey homie, you feel inside? Here's a caldito. Here's the syringe. Do a shot, you feel good. Shame on you for doing that stuff, man. We can do better, people. Let's teach our kids not to go down this road and down this path. Thing is providing for your family. Active is bringing home the bacon, working your ass off at 5 in the morning and bringing home that check so you can take care of your jefita, your wife, your kid. That's what active means. Actively providing for your family, actively engaging on activities that's bettering yourself every day. Active gangbanging, throwing gang signs. Come on, man. That's not active. That's why I hate when people ask me, you still active? It doesn't matter if I'm active or not. I guarantee you any single man will tell you this. If you trust their family, you put in that man against the defense and he's going to attack the best way he knows how he can do it. Because he's actively defending his family. He's actively defending his home. So if you think that I'm soft for this and a piece of shit, I don't care what you think of me. But as long as I can reach these kids and we can save their life and we can do better, take them to a church, show them the word of God, that's a good thing. It don't always have to be about music, high-class clubs and all that stuff. I go to church. I take my brown ass to church every time I can. And I go and sit there. I say, man, Diosito, sabes que perdóname. I know I'm a sinner. Because believe me, when I start telling my story, you guys are going to realize what God has saved me from. And the people that always praying, how much influence they had on me. With this said, gente, you guys already know, man. We can do better. Let's do better. Show love instead of violence. Show peace. Show compassion. The words needed. Smile at somebody. Tell somebody you miss them, you love them, especially loved ones. With that said, let's get it.